and welcome back to another Sims 3 speed build. It has been quite some time since I have posted anything on my channel. I do check the channel pretty regularly. I'm still in touch with a lot of my viewers, and I still respond. But unfortunately, life has been very busy, and in some cases not so well. I did fall ill last year for probably 10 or more weeks, and I wasn't able to do anything. I literally couldn't do anything. It even affected my work. And then unfortunately in October of last year, I did lose my mother. So I was struggling with that at the end of last year, but at the beginning of this year I was doing what I could to see about getting another build out, because I do still love building in Sims 3. It'll probably always be, unless they ever make Sims 5 to where it doesn't irritate me to build. This will probably be my favorite go-to to build, because I've just always loved architecture. I did have intentions of getting this speed build out a lot sooner. I did have majority of it done towards the beginning of the year. I was even giving like little sneak peeks and even asked my viewers, a few questions on it. But then I started running into some other troubles. It was getting to the point, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but my Sims game was lagging extremely bad. Like, I remember going into it and was going to try furnishing finish one of the rooms in this house to get it done, and it just lagged so much that I really couldn't do anything. And that's not something I normally have an issue with. My game for the most part runs pretty good. I mean, it is, after all, Sims 3. You're never probably going to fully get rid of the lag, but for the most part, I don't have hardly any troubles. My graphics card and processor are more than enough to process, the patterns and everything else pretty quickly. And as long as I'm patient and wait for them to fully load, it doesn't really have any lag or problems when I'm trying to build. So when I was starting to have that problems, I wasn't really too sure what I needed to do to get it taken care of. So the first thought I had was, maybe I need to do like a deep clean of my Sims 3 game. I thought maybe that would work. I thought maybe a file got too bloated or something was happening that I wasn't really too sure what it was. So that was the first thing I did. I went through and did a really big deep clean on the game. And unfortunately, until I had that finished, or at least close enough to being finished to where I could go back in the game, I couldn't touch my build because I would lose objects because I didn't have everything back in and installed. So unfortunately, I couldn't continue, so that delayed me, and that took a long time. With my work schedule and everything, that I could only do a little bit after work in the evenings, and it probably took me over a month before I could get it to the game where I could, load this file back up again, and I could go ahead and finish building. And then I was running into the problems that even though I could continue on my build, it wouldn't want to shut down. I still don't know what caused it. I think all my saves may have gotten, they're not really corrupted, but I think something happened, because all my new games, any new save, it will shut down just fine. But any of my previous saves, it wouldn't shut down. It would stay in the screen where it was trying to shut down, but it never would. It was almost like it froze, and I would have to do the Control Alt Delete option, the task manager, and delete it that way. But like I said, if I load up a brand new game and save it, it shuts down just fine. So what I ended up having to do was save this house into my file. I thought, well, hopefully it wasn't the lot. Hopefully it wasn't the house that was corrupted, because that was my next thought, was that maybe something with this file had happened. But I saved the house to my, to my saves, to my library, and I loaded up a fresh, brand new game, plopped it in, and then did a save, and then shut it down. and it shut down fine. It literally shut the game down in probably less than 5 seconds. I had no problems whatsoever. So I thought, okay, well, that must be the problem. There was something with the game file itself. So then I had, the new fresh save for this, so I knew my build was okay. But now I have the problem where all my other saves that I have are the same way. Like my From the Ground Up series, for example, is unable to shut down properly. I don't want to corrupt it. I don't want to do something to it until I can get everything into a new save, and that includes all of my other saves that I have, which have all my families that I've had since day one, and I would hate to lose all of them. And then I decided to, along with trying to clean out my game and try to save my saves, I then decide, oh well, maybe I should get a new SSD drive. I don't really know what I was thinking on that, because then I had to do the work of trying to save, do a backup on everything. And then of course, just the work in general of putting in a new, whether you're doing a hard drive or an SSD drive. My old one wasn't bad, so I still have that one. I still use it to store my videos and pictures. But now I use the newer one, which is much faster than the SSD that I had before. The SSD I had before was actually one of the originals when they first came out with it. So even though it was faster, it's not nearly as fast as the one I have now. So that one is my main one. So I had to reinstall Sims 3, I had to reinstall Sims 4 and all of my other games and all of my programs, and it was a mess. And anybody who's ever had to redo their computer or change out a hard drive or just build one in general, you're definitely going to understand where I'm coming from, where it's a task on its own, and it takes time. No matter what you do, it's going to take time. So unfortunately, that also delayed me even more. I just recently, probably, I want to say, it was probably about a month ago, I think, where I finally got, I think, my new SSD and everything is all set up and done. But I still had to do video edits on this build. And that, I'd already done some of it on the old SSD, so I had some of it already done. What I decided to do was try something different, and you'll see when we get to the interior. My speed builds, especially for a large house, tend to be super long. Like as you can see, this one's already 40 minutes, and I've already shrunk it down by a lot. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to sit here and watch a speed build for an hour. I don't want to try to come up with commentary for an hour. Sometimes I don't do too bad, but other times I really do start to run out of things to say. So I was trying to think, okay, what can I do to try to maybe make my file just smaller, the speed build smaller? And I thought, well, I think most of my viewers prefer to see how I did the build structurally. Like, how did I create my design? How did I come up with the roofing, how it looks, things like that. I think you're more interested in that, maybe so much than how did I go through and decorate. Because I decorate and I do what I can to make it look nice. I do like to clutter, but I don't do anything like out of the ordinary. Like, it's nothing too special. Most of what I do, pretty much anybody could probably do. But sometimes the building can be pretty tricky, and I know a lot of people would like to see how I came up with it and how did I do it. So I decided, why don't I try leaving the speed build of the house in. So that's what we're watching right now, is you're sitting here watching me not have any clue, it looks like, of what I'm doing. I keep taking stuff off, putting stuff on. But anybody that's ever built that has a lot of roofing in The Sims 3, you're definitely going to understand that it can be tricky. Sometimes you just have to keep taking stuff on and off. And honestly, I couldn't even decide how I wanted this house to look. As you can see, I probably changed the front of this house a dozen times at the beginning. So I went ahead and left, you know, the speed build of the exterior on here. And that takes up the bulk of this build. It's probably 30 minutes worth of just the building aspect of the house. I couldn't believe it either that it was this long until I put it into my video editor and saw how long it was actually going to be. As soon as I put the videos in, it went from being about 12-15 minutes, and I put the 3 parts in, part 1, 2, and 3 in, and the next thing I know, I'm at 40 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, that's all just the exterior. I couldn't believe that myself. But yeah, so you can imagine how long this video would have been if I kept the interior in it as well. So don't worry, you're not going to miss out on the interior. It is fully decorated. Your Sims can live in it. What I decided to do was a stop motion technique. It was definitely time consuming. I had never done it quite in the way that I did it for this house, where I take pictures of each scene, I guess you could say. I take pictures for each one and then kind of put them together to make the stop motion video. Well, it took a long time. Taking the pictures, I guess it wasn't too bad, but sometimes I had to really kind of think on what order, I guess, to take the pictures to make sure that when I put them together it made sense. And then I saw that capturing the pictures made a really large file size. Then I thought I probably should downsize those pictures before I put them in my video. Well, that was the first mistake I made right there, was going in and taking each picture and downsizing it. There was times where one room would have probably 30-40 pictures. So that'd be like one of the bigger rooms, like the kitchen and dining, or the living room. They would have like 30-40 pictures. And to sit there and downsize each individual picture, I would literally sit here and spend 30 minutes probably to downsize that one room. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, I don't have the time during the week to sit here and do this for every room. I'm already spending enough time as it is when I get out of work to get these downsized, and I thought, I'm never going to get this speed build done and uploaded like I had hoped and promised everyone. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. But at this time, I had already had the house built. It was already fully furnished. I did not have any recordings of the interior being done, so I really didn't have any other option other than to continue with the stop motion. So then I thought, I was probably about maybe halfway through, and I thought, why don't I just see what file size it will be? Because I already downsized the file as it is through my video editor. And I thought, why don't I just go ahead and put the pictures in the video editor, create the stop motion video, and downsize it like I normally would, and let's see how big the file size is after that. So I went ahead and did that, and I thought, well, it's still a little bit bigger than it would have been if I would have just downsized the pictures first, but it wasn't too bad. So I thought, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to waste any more time trying to downsize the pictures before putting them into the video to make the stop motion. I'm just going to do the stop motion and call it good. So that's what I did for the last half of this video. Or I did the rooms out of order, so I can't really tell you which rooms they got downsized first and which ones weren't, because I really don't remember the order I did them in. So I did that, And well, here we are. You will have a regular speed build of just the building. As you can see, I am still doing this 15 minutes in, and we're still working on the exterior. But the last probably somewhere around 10-15 minutes of the video is just going to be stop motion of the interior. I don't do this very often. There will be some areas that I apparently missed something, or I didn't maybe get the camera view in the right spot, so it kind of jumps a little bit. I mean, I kind of like doing it this way because it does shorten the video out, but it does take a lot longer, so that would then mean it'll take me longer to get a video out after I've built the house. This house has been done, I mean, we're already in July, and I'm just now getting this video up, and the house has actually been done for probably 3-4 months at least. Now, of course, typically I'm not going to be, cleaning out the game or doing a new SSD drive, so that did take up quite a bit of that time, but I'm not sure at this time if I'm going to continue. I do have another house that I have already started, and it's already set up to already do stop motion, so I can't go back on that one anymore. So there'll be at least one more that's going to have the stop motion idea, but at this time I don't know yet on if I'm going to continue it or not. I do like the fact that it did shorten the video. I don't even want to know how long this video would have been if I would have kept the interior in it. I'm just trying to find ways to try to shrink the video down on time. I already speed up the video enough. I don't want to speed it up anymore because I don't really know about anybody else, but if the video moves way too fast, if the build is moving around and spinning too much, I myself can get a little motion sick from it, and I wouldn't want to do that to any of my viewers. So I try not to let it be too fast. But at the same time, I don't want it to be too long either, because I know nobody's gonna sit here probably for 40 minutes watching a video. So I do occasionally, but that, with other videos I do that once in a while, but that's usually just when I'm just kind of got the video running on streaming on my TV or something, and I'm also doing other things in the process. So I'm not just sitting there only watching just the video. But there are a lot of times that I will start one and I don't continue it that long. So I might get maybe 15-20 minutes in, and honestly a lot of times I just sit and watch the building process. I don't always sit and pay attention to the interior because it can get very repetitious in my mind. And I thought, well, maybe the stop motion won't be quite as boring. You'll just have to let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you like the stop motion? Do you want me to continue it? Do you have any thoughts, any recommendations, suggestions, anything at all that might be able to help maybe get, keep my videos down a little bit lower? It would be nice to be able to put out a video that only took 15, 20, 30 minutes, but I don't know if that would ever be, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get a big house and do 20-minute video. I just don't think that would be feasible for me. I know some people are able to do that. They can do a large house and have the building part of it done in 15-20 minutes on the speed build part, but for me, as you can see, we're 20 minutes in and I'm still fiddling with this house. Like, I haven't even gotten to any landscaping yet, so I don't know if it would be something that I would be able to do, at least not for a big house anyway. And I know some builders out there, they don't furnish the inside. They leave it empty because they prefer to be able to, decorate and put everything into their likings on the house. And they have a tendency, even if they were to download a house, they go through and delete everything so they can start over. I'm not like that. I mean, yeah, I like to, put my own do my own stuff in there. But for me, a lot of times the houses are houses I download because I like them and I use them to fill my worlds, for example, and then I just plop townies in them, and I just like to make sure that whatever house my townies are living in, they can actually live in them, and they have everything that they need to be able to, I guess you could, our little pixel people, to survive. So I prefer the houses to be furnished, that way I know the kitchen is done, the bedroom, bathroom, like everything's done. But I'm not going to do just the bare minimum either. I'm not going to just throw in a toilet and a tub, and a couple of counters, bed, and call it good. I don't know. I can't just leave the house empty. We'll just put it that way. So, and plus on the website a lot of the websites that I download on or I upload it to, like Mod the Sims, they still don't want it to be fully empty. They still want you to put in walls, rooms, and at least have a wallpaper and flooring. They don't let it be completely empty. So if I'm going to go through and do all that, I might as well just go ahead and decorate it too and call it good. So now, as you can see with this house, it does look like I have some store content. The only store content that I used would have been for the greenhouse, because I wanted this house to look like it was an older house that got updated and converted. So even though it looks like it has that greenhouse, and originally I had thought about keeping it still as like a greenhouse, but then as I did the interior, which the interior took forever. This was probably the hardest house I've ever had to try to decide where I wanted the rooms. It was awful. It took, I don't even know how long it took me to try to figure out where the rooms were going to be. And even though this house looks really, really big, it really kind of isn't. I'm not sure how that worked out like that, but it really is not. It's really not the biggest house, really, even though it looks like it. But the greenhouse is probably the only actual store content that I used. If you don't have that, that's okay. I did load this up the one time and completely forgot that this house had it, and the game just replaced the windows with regular windows, and I believe it did not have a roof. So it is possible to, install this game or this build into your game and not have any, not have the store content. So, and then there's a few other items that I did use, but they're going to be free items that you can download from the store. I do recommend getting any of the items from the store that's free, because in my mind, if it's free, then you might as well just get it. Might as well. So here what I'm doing in the house is creating a basement. And I wanted one that, I'm trying to think how to describe it. You can do basements in Sims 3 two different ways. You can just use the basement tool and just draw underneath the existing property and create one. Or you can do what I'm doing here, which is a little bit more tedious, especially if you don't do it at the very start. And I had already did all my windows, so that's why you're seeing me move windows and doors around. This is easier to do prior to doors and windows. And that's where you just go through and you lower the ground underneath. You gotta delete all the foundation to do it. And as you can see, it does cause some constrained floor elevation issues. So yeah, I'm fighting with that because of the garage. I had to use constrained floor elevation to do the garage there and have an attached garage. So that causes some issues there. So my recommendation is, if you're not super familiar with that cheat, you might want to make sure you get the basement like this put in before you really do much of anything else, and then build on top of it. It's a lot easier to get the basement in first and then build on top of the basement versus doing it later like I did, but I didn't really think about doing the basement until after, so that's kind of why it got put in when it did. And I end up not fully, I don't actually furnish the basement. I actually keep it as a typical basement that just most people use for storage. It's not going to look finished. I left it with the foundation walls, and I can't remember what kind of flooring I put in, but some kind of stone flooring, I believe, as I put at the bottom to keep it looking unfurnished or unfinished. And then I didn't do the entire basement. I only did a small portion. You'll see it when you start seeing the stop motion and the screenshots. You'll see that's only part of it. But it is set up to allow you to expand it if you want. I didn't want to put that in and then not basically put the basement through the entire underneath of the house, because if you want to make it bigger, I didn't want you to have to go through and try to put that in, because again, by the time you'll have the house, it's going to be fully furnished. It's going to have all the furniture in there, the wall hangings, and like I said, you got to take the foundation out in order to do it. And the more stuff you have in the house, the harder that gets to be. So I thought, well, I would just go ahead and get all the ground lowered and ready for you. So now if you want to make that bigger, all you got to do is tear down a wall, add more walls, do whatever you want. You won't have to worry about removing any foundation. You won't have to worry about moving any furniture or wall hangings. Everything will be good for you to go ahead and just make that bigger if you would like. So even though I didn't furnish or do anything with the whole thing, that still allows you to be able to do it if you would like to. And then this house also has an attic. Again, I did nothing with the attic. I decided that I was not going to do anything with it. I didn't even put any kind of storage looking items in there. I left it completely empty, but it does have lighting. Looks like old lighting. I thought, well, I'm just going to put in like hanging lights that look like something that you would see hanging from an attic. And then just kind of some wood paneling and flooring. That's it. But you're very more welcome to go ahead and put in walls and do whatever you want and add more bedrooms, bathrooms, however you would like. It is fully customizable if you would like to, and it has easy access. I did give it a spiral staircase to get to, so your Sims should be able to get up there just fine with no problems. And you can add more bedrooms if you would like. Like I said, the house is actually, it is actually pretty big if you think about it. If you go in and furnish the basement, furnish the attic, you can get quite a bit. I already have, let's see, 3 bedrooms and 1 nursery already in the house as it is. And you're very more welcome to be able to add more if you would like. And then it also has, let me think here, on the bathrooms, I believe it's got three bathrooms. So it is, I guess you could say it is pretty big, but at the same time, for some reason, once I start doing the interior and decorating it, it doesn't seem as big, if that makes sense. It doesn't seem as big. So like part of it is where it looks like it's got that, the greenhouse area. Like I said, it's kind of a house that was supposed to look like an old house that got converted. And in my mind, that conversion was, the newer owners probably went in and tore down some walls in the garden area or the greenhouse area, and maybe tore down some walls in the kitchen, maybe expanded a little bit and put like the master bedroom and bathroom downstairs. Almost like maybe this house originally had all the bedrooms upstairs, and off the kitchen had the greenhouse, in sitting room areas or sunrooms, whatever you want to call them. And the newer owners decided, well, we would rather have our master bedroom downstairs, and then converted like the sunroom, garden room into the master bedroom and bath is kind of how I was thinking of it as. So you'll see how that comes together. I hope it looks okay. I did struggle with it to try to make it look like it made sense. But I think if you look at it as the newer owners converted it into a bedroom, that helps I guess make it make more sense, I hope. You'll have to let me know what you think of the house and what you think of the conversion of the garden greenhouse room into the sitting and bedroom area. I think it looks pretty nice, but I think it could also look maybe better, or maybe I could have done something a little different. So, but here I am just putting in some outdoor lighting. You know, I like to do that because for me, it's frustrating for my Sims to go outside at night and I can't see them. So I always put as much outside lighting as I can to try to help brighten things up. And of course, like, you know, like me, I don't like how the light doesn't go from one floor to the next. So I do try to fix that glitch the best that I can. That way you don't have that harsh line where you can see where the different floor is. So sometimes I try to use the invisible lights to help with that, or I just rearrange lights to where it looks as minimal as I possibly can get it to be. So, but we should be getting into the stop motion here pretty soon. I'm 31 minutes in, and I'm still working on exterior. But at least for the most part, the actual house is done. Of course, I haven't done any walls. I don't think the speed build shows me putting any of the interior walls in. You'll just have to see that when we go through and start the stop motion. So here's the stop motion part. I hope it looks good. Like I said, it's not the best. It's not perfect. It definitely has its issues. So here's the basement area. You'll see the other basement looks like gravel. That's the part where you'll be able to go in and just cut down a wall and you can use that. It's all ready for you to use. And I just set this up to look just like a storage, like with an old washing machine. I guess that's a dryer. So like an old dryer. I tried to make it look like it was rusted. And I just wanted to make it look like there was just old stuff down here that's been sitting down here for a long time. Old, you know, memorabilia on the wall. Just a bunch of old stuff. So hopefully, I mean, I think it looks pretty good, pretty messy. And yeah, I think it does itself justice. And I know that normally your outdoor meters aren't normally inside the house either, but I just felt that looked good in the basement for some odd reason. I guess I was just kind of thinking more along the lines of like an electrical box, even though that isn't really an electrical box. So, but here's the entrance. And then of course the floor, I did the herringbone floor design. That was something I did put on my YouTube and asked the community what way they would like it to go. So this is the direction that you guys all voted on. And this is the one that got the most votes. So that's the direction that the herringbone is going based off of the community vote. And then we're going into this is the laundry room that's downstairs. Some of these rooms are just really small and compact that I can't really, I'm not a big fan of taking walls down just so I can have a different view. So I did it from above. I hope that's all right. But I do try to reposition the camera. That way we can, you know, kind of see it at a different angle. And if you notice on that bench, that's not a real bench. Your Sims cannot sit on that. Those are actually end tables for some reason that look like cushions. I just like to use them because they look like I can make like a cushion bench. And then I put a shelf in there. It's hidden. And that was just so I could put, you know, a stuffed animal sitting on the fake bench that nobody can sit on. And so you'll see other areas like underneath the refrigerator. There was a shelf that I put in there. That just so I could stack things on top of the fridge. And that's really about, like when it comes to clutter, that's kind of how I do a lot of things. I put shelves in places so I can do extra stacking. And then the cabinets have under the counter or under the cabinet lighting to help light it up a little bit. I thought the kitchen turned out pretty good. I wanted the floor to look like stone tiles of different sizes, but the only one that you could pick from, they were, I think, stone texture. So I hope that turned out. I mean, it kind of looks like tile. So I don't know. It was probably one of those days where I probably was wanting a certain idea and I couldn't get what I wanted. and I just ended up settling. So here's like the bedroom area where I told you where maybe the current owners decided to change the house, update it, and create a master bedroom out of the garden sitting area, I guess, from the old times when the house was first built. And that's why the bedroom kind of looks a little awkward, I guess, in shape. And then here I went ahead and kept the garden area. It still has a lot of flowers in it, but it looks more like a sitting room. So I put a TV, there's a radio, there's seats and stuff in here for your Sims to sit on. And so it still kind of looks and resembles a lot of maybe a garden area. And then I use those chairs to try to make it look like one long, like, attached chair couch thing. Not really a couch, but almost like they were attached. It's kind of how I thought that idea with it. And I went ahead and put blinds because I just felt the blinds looked better. And then here is the bathroom, the master bath. And again, it's nice and compact. I do tend to make the rooms a little bit more smaller and compact. I guess I think more realistically, and even in a house like this, you're not going to have huge rooms. And plus, in my mind, if I got to do a huge room, that means more that I have to try to furnish. And furnishing for me, just it takes forever. I am so slow at decorating that it just takes me a really long time. So the less I have to try to fill up, the better. So this is the living room area. We're back into the living room. And we're just kind of going from one area to the next, getting everything in, just your basic furniture, couches, tables, as much clutter as I could try to come up with to try to make the house look as much lived in as I can get it. I personally like clutter. I am sorry if you're one that does not, but I personally like it. I think it looks better. So there was a little bit of an idea for you on how I do an upright piano. I do have a video on my channel. There's actually 2 videos, I believe. They're titled along the lines of creating like custom furniture pieces out of like game furniture. I'm not exactly sure on the titling of those videos, but they will go into more detail on how you can make different styles of furniture like that upright piano by just using regular just game pieces and not having to download any custom content or having to download or purchase any store content. This is all stuff that's used with stuff that's in a pack or expansion pack of some sort. So, but I do that piano often because I like having the piano and it takes up a lot less space than the grand piano that they have in the game. So I do the upright piano quite often. And I do this with the shelving all the time, the bookshelves. I'm always putting another shelf on top so I can put more items on it. And I love using the little candles. If you haven't noticed, the little candles that go on shelves and end tables and stuff, I use them all the time. Unfortunately, for some reason you can't recolor those, but I use them all the time because they can stay lit up at night. And I don't know, I kind of like that soft glow that they give at night when your Sims are sleeping. I don't know why, I just do. And during, when the Sims are in the room, of course, it helps light up the area as well. So here is the nursery. So it's a fairly decent sized nursery. I pretty much put everything in here, like the high chair and the little toddler potty is in here. I don't know, whenever I'm decorating, I never put the high chair in the kitchen, even though in the kitchen is actually where most high chairs are. I don't know. I never put the high chair in the kitchen for some reason. So if you want the high chair down there, you can always, of course, move it, but that's just kind of where it is in the nursery. So here's the little kid's room. I kind of decorated it more towards a boy. The sleeping bag should be in position to where your Sim can use it to sleep. I don't use a sleeping bag very often with decorating because I think it's kind of dumb. To me, it should be rotated the other way around. But it has to be, I think, that way in order for the Sims to use it. To me, the sleeping bag should be up against the wall, and when you get in it, your feet go into the room. But it's like the other way around. I could be thinking of it wrong, but hopefully it works just fine for you. And then this is like a teenage girl's room, and I kind of created a small little like makeup area. It's just a shelf and some end table thing I think I used to make it look like one. So we're just still working on her room here. And again, you can always just recolor everything, you know, change. I don't care if you change anything, you know, for your game. So, but the speed build or the stop motion portion is now done. We are now in just regular screenshots. Again, let me know what you think of the stop motion that I put in for the interior. I do think it cut down the video quite a bit, because I think this easily could have been an hour and a half video if I wouldn't have done that. But let me know your suggestions, your ideas, what you think. And of course, as always, let me know what you think of the house in general. And I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.